Yeah.
Mm. Button. No, no, the button, the button. Hurry, push the button, you. Levels are low. Get that up. Live from the Crescent Moon Temple, it's the morning show with your host, Tolinar. Why is this so quiet? We're gonna get this fixed. Come on now. It's time to play the music, switch all of the cameras on. It's time for the morning show and my lapel mic is out of balance. Just quickly check the chat room. There is nobody home. It's time for the morning show and I guess I'm on my own. Stage lights, please. The host, the guest, the audience, it's what I've got to be. There's no one even watching. This all depends on me. But that's nothing unusual. It's just another day. As soon as I get done with yawning, I'll do it my own way. Double check switch integration. All systems are good to go. One last quick mic inspection. Fine for audio. Pick a topic of conversation. Something I ought to know. I've kind of been buffaloing it the last few days. Maybe we could actually talk about something like schadenfreude or artistic expression. Maybe I'll just go back to bed. The host, the guest, the audience is what I've got to be. There's nobody else out there. This all depends on me. But that's nothing unusual. It's just another day. If I want to make my life great, I've got to do it my own way. The host, the guest, the audience, it's what I need to be. There's nobody else out there. This all depends on me. But that's nothing unusual. It's just another day. Let's just get this started. And I'll do it my own way. Okay. Today on the morning show, why don't we talk about, I don't know, facts, truth, opinions, and perspectives? That sounds like a good one. Okay, play me to the desk. Shooting the breeze over here. Today's morning show is brought to you by the letter T and the number 0. Yes, 0 is a number. The Mayans proved it. And by viewers like me, because, brother, I'm it. Let me get my tea set up. Oh boy. Today is a progress day, baby, a progress day. That's right, P to the progress. It is the 6th of February. Friday. Very nice. I like me a good Friday. And you can dial the music back down just a little. Thank you. Stirring your tea really does make it bitter by dragging the tannins from the tea into it. If you don't stir your tea, then you get a nice, smooth, soft blend. But if you stir it, it gets really bitter, really fast. It's interesting. It's interesting. Anyways, like I said, today is a progress day, and I'm about to see how much progress I actually made. answer is... Ooh, not bad. Now, because I still haven't reached the benchmark that I set for myself, it looks like it's about 1,100, which is good. Yeah, that's nice and stable. I'm just gonna move 100 for now. Oh man, my savings account actually had so much in it that it generated a penny. Holy cow. Oh my gosh. Can't believe it. It's a good sign though. It's only 1 penny. But I'll take it, man. I'll take it. Let's do a QT. We'll increase it. That I've saved 40 cubes. Let's go put the cubes in. Like cubes? What the hell's this boy on about? To achieve my goal, I need to save roughly 200 cubes. It would be better to save as many as 2,000. Right now, I have 30 saved. Well, make that 40. Excellent. And I have enough to treat myself to sushi today, as I promised. Now let's listen to Kentaro Sato and the Budapest Symphony Orchestra performing the soundtrack to my life with Stardew Valley. Pretty nice. It's good news, folks. My long-term goal is to, ultimately, I want to be able to pay for my new home, which is some 22 months on the horizon. So, just a bit bitter. Just a bit bitter. Waking me up though. Susu was amazing. For her birthday, she cleared Contra Rebirth on just 1 life. Yeah, you tried doing that. I think you're gonna fail. I think you can't do that. She did it, Contra Rebirth. Isn't that amazing? I think it's incredible. Well, let's see here. Why don't we talk for a while about truth, perspective, opinions, and facts. Let me get some support kicked up on my phone so that I can work through this. No, hi Kiyoharu, but we're gonna do this. Morning. All right. We're in there. Here we go. Yeah, I can hear myself coming through just fine. Okay. Sounds like we have a good connection this morning. Well, as good as it tends to get with this dog water system. It'll get better later. I've just used up all my bandwidth being mischievous. You know me. Always watching stuff and doing stuff. Farting on the cat. Take that. Get farted. Get farted. Poor cat. It's revenge. I say revenge. Anyways. I'm being a dork. Gravity is a constant. 9.8 meters per second per second. Cat's like, what the hell does that mean? Well, 9.8 meters is roughly 30 feet. Okay. So every second that something is in free fall, the speed at which it accelerates towards the planet increases by 30 feet per second. This is a lot of energy. It's enough energy to destroy things that are too heavy. Light things can endure it. Things that will quickly reach their terminal velocity. Heavy things will have difficulty managing it. Gravity is one of those rules that you absolutely must not neglect in reality. You can decry it, you can complain about it, you can theorize, quantize, do whatever you think you need to do. But it will win in the end. Oh yes, gravity wins in the end. That's the way this world works. And that is a truth. But is it a fact? Here's the thing. Facts, truth, opinions, perspectives are all one big gelled up mass. We don't quite know what gravity is, and we don't know how it works. We can theorize about it. We can make very consistent rules. But many things ignore those rules. Paper sure doesn't fall at that speed, and that's because there's air in the way. The way I perceive a fact is whether or not it is practical, whether or not that information is useful. 9.8 meters per second is useful as long as you understand what it means. You understand how to scale it. You understand what it represents. If you think of yourself as 2 meters tall, and you understand you're going to fall 5 times your own height per second for every second you're in free fall until you reach a speed known as terminal velocity, which is the fastest you can go. Terminal velocity is dictated by wind resistance, meaning that it fluctuates based on how you hold your body. You can go faster by making yourself move freely and smoothly through the air, or move slower by adding wind resistance. The important part here is that it's going to be very difficult to fly with an umbrella or use your coat as a parachute because your terminal velocity will be too high. These things don't have a terminal velocity that is low enough to permit you to land safely. Now, is it an absolute? No. If you have devices like wings that can create displacement, you can potentially redirect all of that energy that is charged up in you as you fall and swing around and flare your tail and perform a landing, among other things that you might do. If you can deploy a parachute, then your free fall terminal velocity will drop to a relatively safe speed and you might just break a leg. Or not even that if you have a very safe parachute. Non-emergency parachuting simply will be uncomfortable to land with. So, what is the fact of gravity? If you fall off of something from too high, you're going to get hurt or even die. What is the truth of gravity? Nobody knows. We don't know enough about gravity to know its truth. And there's enough counter evidence and enough mysteries that most people are smart enough to know that they don't know the truth of gravity. But some people believe they do know the truth, even though they struggle to answer those questions that are so hard to answer. What happens with the three-body problem? All these other questions that are difficult, they can't answer them, but they don't think about those questions. They think they have all the information, so they believe they see the truth. Let's say there is a candy on the kitchen table. You wake up in the morning and the candy is gone. Now, the fact is, someone ate it. That's what's apparent. It is gone, absolutely, which means someone probably ate it in the middle of the night. But you go and ask everybody else in the household, and they say, no, I didn't eat that candy. Their individual perspectives are all, no, it wasn't me. And if it was nobody, then who ate that candy? You can go searching around and discover that the candy that you thought someone ate has been knocked on the floor by the cat. And that it's actually underneath the edge of a furniture where no one would see it normally. Definitely not on the table. So the one candy that had been set on that table, no one ate it. The cat saw it and knocked it off because cats are insane. I mean you, Mana. As you hear it scramble up the cat tree next to me. Okay, chill out. What are you doing? Don't do it. Don't. It's looking like it's gonna jump on me from all the way over there. I don't want to deal with it. Look, I am holding a hot beverage. I do not want to be plowed. So just don't do that. Cats are unpredictable. And unpredictable things happen in life that make it difficult to understand the truth of the world. But we each have perspectives. These perspectives give us opinions. Now, when you think of opinion, you usually think of something that has a subjective context, things that are obviously opinions, like, do pineapples belong on pizza? Or do pickles taste good? These are age-old questions which have been debated long throughout humanity. Are mushrooms sickeningly gross, or do they actually taste nice? These are opinions, obviously, because different people have very different perspectives on them. People will have different perspectives on virtually everything. People have different perspectives on gravity. That's right. Doesn't that sound impossible? People have different perspectives on gravity. That can't be right. Gravity is consistent across the planet. I mean, it's very slightly adjusted by the lack or presence of cloud cover, which in turn changes the air pressure and slightly affects how fast you fall through the air when you fall off of something, adjusting the coefficient of gravity a tiny, tiny, tiny bit. But still, some people swear you can feel it and can jump higher somehow on cloudy days because the air pressure is low. But this is not what we mean. People have different perspectives on gravity. I mean, a crazy person can rant all they want about the coefficient of air pressure, but it doesn't make a difference. Gravity is gravity, but perspectives on gravity change. You don't believe me? Kids are made of rubber, and all at once you know I'm right. Kids go scrambling around with no respect at all for gravity because 1, they weigh less, and 2, they're bouncy. They fight with gravity every day, and every day they win and lose. Because they are intimately connected to gravity, they understand it better than us, and so they don't fear it the way that we fear it. As you get older and you get taller and the ground gets further away, gravity gets more dangerous. Gravity gets more painful to deal with. And because you're not constantly getting up and down and interacting with gravity, because that causes blood pressure spikes and other issues, this, that, and the other, extreme back discomfort, you name it, there's a reason that you stay upright instead of dealing with gravity. Because we don't do that, gravity becomes unfamiliar. We forget what gravity is. We forget where gravity's boundaries lie. That unfamiliarity convinces us that gravity could be more dangerous or safer than it actually is. We forget the truth because our perspective changes over time. So yes, perspectives differ even on something as simple as gravity. You might start off when you're knee-high to a toddler with a very specific idea of what gravity is. And then over time, that will change to absent fears or ignorance. You're not tumbling around on the floor anymore. You're not maneuvering from foot to back to arm to wriggle, just sort of snaking along the earth like a toddlers want to do. At some point you got up on your feet, and you're not less than a foot from the ground, so a tumble has no pain or backfire. If you go splat from that height, there's very little energy because you're so small. So gravity doesn't carry a penalty for you. Gravity feels safe and fuels dreams of flight. But once you get to about the teenage years and you hit your growth spurt, all of a sudden, falling means scraped knees, possibly even a bruised bone. Gravity starts leaving marks on you, reminding you that it actually has a lot more power than it's been letting on, and your perspective of gravity changes. For very many people, it no longer remains intimate. We don't stay connected with gravity. We don't learn about it every day. We don't remind ourselves of its boundaries. We don't continue to improve with gravity. A person who continues to improve their relationship with gravity every day can fall from 8 feet, 9 feet, 10 feet without hurting themselves. How can they do this? They do it all the time. That's how. They are used to redirecting their energy. They know how to roll and tumble to recover from it. And they have the timing down to the millisecond. Because they know how long it takes to fall, their muscle memory helps them thoroughly. And so gravity isn't dangerous. Well, a little dangerous. You want it to fall the right way, or it'll really suck. But even then, their body is conditioned to absorbing impact better than the average person's. If you fall all the time, your body gets used to falling. You can tough it out. The frame will tense and tighten at just the right moment to leaden the impact, to force the energy elsewhere, and to prevent serious injury. Your body will develop natural shock absorbers that the average person doesn't have. So yes, a lethal fall for one person could prove to be perfectly safe for another, even if it's by complete accident. A person who weighs more, who has bad air resistance, will fall, and because their body is not well developed and injury is easy, it can be fatal. Just falling forward can lead to severe injury. Or you can take a long-distance runner whose body has been conditioned by the pounding of the pavement for hundreds or even thousands of hours. And if they kick on a rock and trip and tumble, their body just endures a slight shock and they tear their skin. They will get up and continue running as though nothing happened. Gravity doesn't affect them as much because their body is tougher, because their body is designed to be a shock absorber already, as opposed to a pudgy ball floating very gently on its own mass. They are a rickety structure, janking along and constantly absorbing impacts from the pavement. And so, gravity is less of a threat and more of a guideline. So, if something as concrete, yes, careful word choice, as gravity is so affected by opinion and perspective, what about things like politics? The truth is elusive in this world. It is hard to pin down. The biggest and strongest truths are the ones that affect you the most. These are unfamiliar truths, but who are still characteristic. What is an unfamiliar but characteristic truth, you ask? Well, you probably want to get away from a burning building. That's an unfamiliar but characteristic truth. A very, very small percent of humanity has the opinion and perspective that they can ignore this rule. But not everyone is a volunteer firefighter. Not everyone has practice working with an indoor fire, knows how to get down out of the smoke, how to control their breathing, knows how to control the airflow through a house so that the fire is diminished and doesn't explode into a huge problem. Not everyone has the experience to correctly put out an electrical fire. Not everyone has the wherewithal to see a grease fire and immediately reach for the baking soda in the fridge to put the fire out again. For most people, a house fire means it's time to run away. Things that are truths, but uncommon, are universally accepted because they are useful and because the occurrence is rare enough that there's no further intimacy. If you see a mountain lion, you need to get the hell out of there while making as much noise as possible and face that mountain lion. Don't turn your back on it. Now, if you have experience with mountain lions, you may, in fact, have a third option available to you. You can use posture tricks to convince the cat that you don't think it's a threat, but you're not scared of it either. You can use body motion to scare it off. You can identify the reason it might be hostile and move away from the situation safely. And if you have a lot of experience handling mountain lions, you might even be able to fight it off because you'll be familiar with how they attack and how they move. And when it goes to strike you, you can strike it back, and its claws might get you a little bit on the legs, but because it'll already have a heel in its mouth and it won't be able to chew through your boot while you're kicking it in the skull from the other side, maybe you'll make it. Or perhaps that's not the way you survive. Maybe that just gets you killed. Only a person who trains mountain lions would know. A zoologist, maybe. When a perspective is rare, we tend to accept universal truths. That way, if we run into a problem, we can fall back on those truths. It's intimacy with knowledge that lets us move past universal truths and reach personal truth. Facts are those universal truths, the things we all accept. A dollar is a dollar is a dollar. Personal truths understand bubble economies. Economists understand that a dollar on one side of the country is not the same as a dollar on the other side of the country. And if you take that dollar into a third country, it becomes something else entirely, both in worth and meaning. In a tight-knit community where there's 6 people living in a small town, currency can redefine itself. The value of money changes if you enter a gated community with only 200 people, where nothing goes in and nothing goes out. It's entirely possible. You got a sticky. Anyways, it's entirely possible that the value of a dollar is defined by how much John wants to charge for his eggs. And if he decides that eggs are worth $2 per dozen, then it doesn't matter that they're going for $18.50 in the rest of the world. Eggs are $2 a dozen because everyone in that community has access to that price. And everyone in that community can use that as a baseline when deciding whether or not to cook eggs. I want an egg. Let's cook an egg. All of a sudden, I feel like breakfast. This is not rhetorical, and it's important because these kinds of decisions can affect things on a much larger scale. You think, well, that's not the actual truth because eggs are not that price. Oh, but let me use the bathroom actually. I will be right back. Picking up where I left off. Eggs are not $2 a dozen, but here's the thing. When individual perspectives constantly change the value of something, it starts to affect the global perspective. Eggs were very expensive for a long time. Then along came COVID-19. What happened? Well, we couldn't go get eggs. So the price of eggs out there didn't matter. They were exorbitantly valuable because you couldn't get them. And then we decided to rely on ourselves again. We knew how. Our parents had taught us. It was back in our history. And so Americans got resourceful. They remembered their strength. And they started doing things themselves. And one of the first things they did themselves was start raising chickens again. Americans knew how to raise chickens. We've done it. We've got space. We've got time. It's easy. You can toss the scraps. They're beautiful garbage disposals. It's troublesome to raise chickens if you're out having a grand old time running around the world. But if you're stuck at home, you can't go out. Chickens, well, that's a valuable thing to do. Well, some people only had chickens during the pandemic and then gave up as soon as but not everyone. No, about 1 in 10 Americans now raises chickens. You know what the side effect of that is? There's a lot more eggs in circulation. And if these people all want $2 a dozen for extremely high quality, farm fresh eggs from chickens who've been eating dandelions and bugs and ants, then you get an influx of eggs to the market. And with a lot more supply and a lot less demand, the prices crash back down. Today, I believe at my grocery store, eggs are $1.86 a dozen. So much for $2 a dozen not being the truth. A fact is when a rule with low intimacy is implicated in your reality. So, it is a fact that butter melts just above room temperature. You apply a little heat, it melts. Now, a person with more intimacy understands that there are ways to make different butters that melt at different temperatures, and it all involves tempering the oils in the fat because it's the fat, the solid fat content that causes butter to melt when it does. So if you temper the right chemicals into it, it'll melt at a different timing. And there's very little reason to do this, but it's true. See, that's the difference between a fact and a truth. The truth of something is something that develops with increased intimacy. If you want to know the difference between truth and opinion, fact and perspective, understand that facts are everywhere in this world, but facts have low intimacy. It is a fact that cats are crazy and they'll claw you up without a second thought. Oh yes. But that is a low intimacy fact. The truth is something that requires high intimacy. To know the truth of something, you must become familiar with it. To discover truth, you've got to get connected. You have to explore it on the daily. You have to dig down deep. And even then, your perspective may yield a truth that is different from other people's truths. But usually, those differences will be very slight. The truth is truth is truth is truth. Gymnasts encounter gravity in roughly the same way. People who constantly work with gravity all tend to agree on how dangerous gravity is, whether something is simple and safe or quite hazardous. It's the same thing with mathematics. A person who spends only a little bit of their natural life dealing with mathematics will think of math as a fact, when in fact, math is a set of truths. And the more you wrangle with math, the more you understand the places where math is flexible, places where math is not flexible, and all the different ways that math changes based on levels of familiarity. Let me float my egg. You're like, float my egg? What are you talking about? Well, I am submerging my egg good into a glass of water. This does not improve my chance of getting infected. It doesn't make the egg taste better. No, but if you have sufficient familiarity with eggs, then you understand the truth. This egg is safe to eat because it sinks. Like, how's that work? Well, when the bacteria in an egg multiply, they eat the egg itself. This creates a cavity inside the egg and changes its air to substance balance. When that air to substance balance gets bad, the egg will start to float. A floating egg has an air socket that is too large and will not be safe to eat. It'll have random bacteria multiplying in it in too heavy a concentration, and that's the end of it. So, what happens when you get a flat earther? This is a person who has a skewed perspective in comparison to the rest of the people. They have adopted a doctrine that has very specific beliefs. The real question here is, how much knowledge do they have? How much have they studied? How thorough is their information? And what is their perspective? If the Earth physics, the Earth is a flat structure of some sort. If the Earth is flat, how much perspective have they gained to support this idea that the Earth is flat? How much intimacy do they have? And what's it based on? What's the point? The big problem with flat earthers is that believing the Earth is flat versus round has no practical application. There's no way to get intimacy with this information. Unless, of course, you happen to be someone who sees the Earth from a lot of very special perspectives. Do you know how many flight attendants are flat earthers? Not a whole lot. Why is that? Because as you fly up away from the planet's surface, you notice the curvature. The planet is in fact curved on the edges. And those curves become more apparent the further you get from the planet. So a person who has constant exposure to a curved Earth, as opposed to a person who only ever sees some big empty plains and is only ever exposed to a flat Earth, why, that's very different. Okay, I am holding some egg gel against my ring mold here, letting it cook up as I all right, let's go ahead and dump it on there. This is a very viscous egg. Very nice. Good viscosity. That's a high quality egg. Farm eggs, right? Anyways, that's another thing. An egg is an egg is an egg. From whose perspective? If you've ever raised chickens, you know that every egg is different. But for a person who's constantly buying grocery store eggs, they know that every egg is the same, because for them, every egg is the same. They're all the same color, they're all the same size, they're all the same texture, they're all the same everything. An egg is an egg is an egg, because those eggs are produced by chickens who live their lives in little metal boxes. Consider the chicken in a box. Its whole life is lived in a little metal cage. There is a chorus of other chickens it can hear. It doesn't get to leave its box, but it does get to eat, and it lives a comfortable life, free of disease and trouble. It just sits and eats in something of a non-paradise. It doesn't know what it's missing. It's a bit like the Plato's cave allegory. It cannot see the real world, so convincing it of the real world is impossible. But it does enjoy its own life. Is it living an inhumane life? Well, it probably wishes it could have certain things in its life. Probably wishes that things were different in certain ways. But does that mean it's unsatisfied to be alive? Well, it's not tortured. Maybe, maybe not. What about the chicken who's living in the back of someone's yard and is neglected to be fed every other day? So sometimes the chicken is going hungry. It has fresh air and sunshine and the beauty of the world around it. But unlike the chicken who is living in the box, which is very well fed and comfortable, chicken goes hungry sometimes and has to hunt for its own food, which it has learned to do. It has learned to scavenge, and it is pretty good at locating a scrap or two. Because it had to learn that. What choice did it have? It's gonna be hungry, it might as well just go find some food, you know? Let me push some ham into this butter. I'm thinking my McMuffin could use some spiky sauce today. This is my secret weapon. Now this right here is Eldest Chicken Spiky Sauce. This is an artisan-made small batch sauce, which is primarily sugar and jalapeno garlic. Basically, it's red jalapenos and garlic with a bit of ginger. It's wild, it's lively, it's delicious. And I am going to get after some of this on my breakfast, because it really does taste great. All right, I think the one side of my egg has set up, so I'm going to very gently flip it over. There we go. Very nice. This egg sandwich has a high tendency to be messy because I am impatient with the eggs. So I tend to make a big old mess when I eat this. So I'm going to have to clean in advance You get ready for the mess. It's probably better to eat this in a bowl than anything else. Doing good. Oh yes, butter and ham. Now that's a combination. The ham is plenty salty. It won't require any salt at all. The sauce will be enough. But I think I might want a piece of cheese on it. Let me see if I can get a slice of Tillamook. Sure. Very good. We'll just do that. Very nice. So, we've covered the fact that people can have perspectives that grant truth instead of fact. When a person has a deep enough perspective in something, then they pick up truth. But when a person's perspective is based on deception, they develop untruth instead. This is where we use the word opinion. Because your perspective on something could be lying to you. Don't, no, cat, you're not getting my biscuit, it's my biscuit. I see you meowing and begging for a bite, as though it's something good. Here, let me get the window for you. There you go. Okay, it's open. Yeah, I know. You're welcome. Okay. Now, as it stands, I am melting some cheese onto my egg and stuff. It's kind of slow going. The cheese is a little on the waxy side. There we go. Perspective is based on personal experience. And those experiences can be driven by real intimacy with the situation, or they can be driven by theory and concept. The flat earther believes they understand the nature of the earth because they've spent a lot of time thinking about it. They have developed a whole lot of concept. They've done a lot of work with the idea of a flat earth. And so the idea is well developed and they believe they have a truth. But thinking about something and developing intimacy with it are not the same. Intimacy is born from interaction, right? A person can say, oh yeah, I interact with the earth all the time. I'm 100% certain it's flat. Whereas another person can say, oh no, see, I go up in the air every single day as a flight attendant, and I can tell you 100%, beyond the shadow of a doubt, the earth is curved. It's definitely probably round. Definitely, definitely. And anybody who says that the earth is flat has not seen my perspective and is absolutely wrong. Well, things get even worse when there are people involved in this problem. If you want to see a real hairball, all you have to do is go into politics. Here you'll find answers that are for questions that might not have a single answer. People who are familiar with situations or semantics, or who don't know everything they know. Then you get people who are trying to convince one another of things. A certain percentage of flat earthers only claim the earth is flat because they think it's funny. They think it's a riot to decry what is public knowledge for what they believe to be a fun idea. Like, it doesn't matter if it's true or not. All that matters is that I trolled some folks. Well, that's a possibility, but not a good one. Unfortunately, it's a common possibility. So, how can you separate out a person's bad opinion? Well, I already mentioned on this channel how to tell if someone is actually an expert at something or not. Because that's the term for when a person has high levels of intimacy with a topic and has reached truth instead of fact, is expert. A person who has a high level of intimacy with a topic has reached expert. Now they don't have access to facts, a common knowledge, but truth, which is knowledge fueled by perspective. The expert may have a certain lean to their perspective. A person who designs aircraft for gravity and a gymnast who tumbles all the time will have different answers of what gravity is and how dangerous it is. The person who designs the aircraft will tell you that gravity is 100% lethal, that it destroys all things that fall from its bows. Whereas the person who works with tumbling will tell you that gravity can be handled lightly. And the person who builds the aircraft will tell you the only way to manage gravity is with more power. The tumbler will tell you that very often the key to gravity is to introduce less power. Be soft, be gentle, reduce the energy, and you'll be all right. Increase it, and it's going to hurt. These are different answers, and they're both correct. Both? How's that work? Well, that's the nature of perspective and opinion. Ham and egg biscuit with cheese and spiky sauce. That's the stuff right there. It's a little heavy, but it's so tasty it makes me want to cry. It's important to remember people will see things differently than the way you see them because they'll have different perspectives. This leads to opinions. Opinions, that's what we call the facts and truths of someone who has different perspectives than you currently have. When something has many wide interpretations, you can say it's a topic that has opinions. When people generally tend to come to a consensus on something, we call it a fact. Neither perspective is exactly true. What's most important is that you work out your own perspective. I'll go ahead and recite that thing about experts just one more time in case you missed it earlier. The easiest way to tell if you're dealing with an expert on a subject is to ask them if they know everything about the topic, and if they don't, what are they missing? A full-blown idiot will tell you he knows everything about the topic because in his mind he does. He has a limited perspective that is completely full up. A person with a high intimacy will almost invariably have things that he doesn't know. The more you study things in the world, the more you discover the world is full of mystery. When you just accept the world at face value and stare up at the sky, then the world is simple. Easy. It's water and food and air, and you just get by, and that's how it goes. It's when you start asking questions about the air. Why is the sky blue and not green? Why? And when you can't answer those questions, you find the limits of your own knowledge. Okay, so you can tell me why the sky is blue. You can tell me what would have to happen for the sky to turn red. But can you explain the double slit experiment? Mm. All right, my morning show is getting long in the tooth. I believe we've reached the end. Honestly, this is a topic I could talk about at length for a long time. It was good to crack on about it, get some thoughts off my chest. Mmm, biscuit. The idea of objective versus subjective truth is disturbing to a lot of people. Nobody wants to hear they're wrong. Nobody wants to believe that the information that they have could be incomplete. Everyone wants to think they've got a good bead on things. But there's a quote I'd like to give you. 1,500 years ago, everybody knew the Earth was the center of the universe. 500 years ago, everybody knew the Earth was flat. And 15 minutes ago, you knew that humans were alone on this planet. Imagine what you'll know tomorrow. Thank you all for watching. Please have a lovely day. I'm going to finish my breakfast, have a cup of tea, get on out of here. Boy, it feels good to have rested. Get some real sleep tonight. And we'll start the next cycle. Here we go around. See you soon. A good biscuit. Man, that smoky flavor. Mm-hmm. Mm.